We're here, we're live. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mama Pause. I'm Lori Pedro, and I'm here with my dear friend.
I'm Tracy Green.
Hello, Tracy Green.
Hi.
Hi, friend. How are you?
I'm okay. I miss you today. I'm so glad we're on this together today.
We missed a week.
Yeah.
You were on spring break. You took a little trek to the desert, right?
We did. We haven't been out of the house in a year. And before that, we hadn't been away for a long time either because of all my illnesses and stuff. And so we went to Joshua Tree in the desert. And there was a lot of room. We didn't stop at the places where there were big crowds because we didn't feel comfortable, but we just went and drove around, and it was nice to have a change of scene.
Yeah, get outside and be, just out of your house. That's what I like.
Change of scene. We went to a Motel 6. I mean, that's how much we were just like, let's go.
Let's just go get out. I know so many of us are tired of walking around our neighborhoods.
Yes. And what I also noticed is the people that are in their houses in your neighborhood are kind of mad and they're just staring out their windows a lot. So I've been yelled at about my dog while walking and stuff. And so I've just
they're yelling at you for walking past their house.
You know what?
Too many times in a day.
Yeah, exactly right. Actually, what happened was Dave and I are out with the dog, and we are poo-poo picker-uppers. We have bags. We take it with us. That is something we do. And the dog went in a spot and kicked it, and we couldn't find it. We looked for it, so we walked away. 2 minutes later, a car drives up behind us and rolls down their window. And the guy starts yelling at us saying, "Thanks a lot for picking up the poo." We're like, what?
Did he not see you looking in the bushes for it?
He watched us out his window, and then he went and found it and picked it up, I guess.
He's bored. He's so bored. He doesn't want to be inside anymore. He's like, what do I can do today? I will go get the poop.
Yes. So I have actually started, I got our treadmill out and put it on the porch. I've been doing a lot of that rather than walking in the neighborhood.
Oh, there you go. Well, you have a nice view, so you can do that. I wouldn't mind walking, to your view. It's really pretty. So that would be good. Well, I do stare at my bedroom window looks right on to, and I live in a little town, and there's just like there's all different kinds of houses. There's like single houses, and then there's like these what we call row homes. I guess they're like townhouse types, duplexes, all kinds of things. So my bedroom window happens to look right outside and has the best light in the house. So I tend to stare out my window, and it's embarrassing. But I took pictures of these people because I was like, what are they doing? And they're picking some kind of grass, stem, weed, flower from my grass in the front, like just the sidewalk grass. There's something that grows there. And I'm like, are they like brewing it up for tea? Is this like herbal remedies? But they keep coming by like once, twice a week. And they pick little flowers. And I'm just really curious about what they're doing. So I'm one of those stare out the window people, I think.
You have to find out what's in the crack of your sidewalk.
I'm really curious. I have not, but I'm also like a total introvert, and I've not like just asked, because you would probably be like, hey, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm staring at you.
If I was in Pennsylvania with you, I'd go ask them for you.
You would totally go out there and ask them. So, well, I'm glad that you're back from spring break, and I'm glad to hear your stories. And hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're here, let us know in the comments and say hello. We always love to chat. I had some people let me know that they also have highly sensitive children. So I know that that's just, I was having some experiences this week with intuition and thinking about how important it is to let our children's intuition blossom and not tone it down because their behavior might. we often want to like stop what they're doing, but sometimes then we tell them that you're wrong, or you're wrong for what you're thinking or feeling, and then they go out in the world and then they don't trust those feelings that are so important, and we're like, why didn't you do XYZ? And then they get all confused.
It's confusing.
Yeah, so I just thought we could definitely talk about, I know you've got stories. There are no topics probably that you don't have stories for. I'm always the one that like, what should we talk about? What are people wanting to know? And I don't know, do I have anything to say? And I know you always have good stuff to say about that. And that intuition's a huge part of you and your family. And I know your kid is sensitive and intuitive. That like we share that. Our kids are very sensitive, very intuitive. They teach us a lot.
Yes. One thing I always remember about Maya Luna when she was little was her sensitivity to the textures of clothing. And there were quite a lot of kids we knew as well, but yeah,
and adults.
That was, and adults. Yes, you too.
Oh my gosh, I did not wear jeans, like denim, and now it's so soft. But in the 70s and 80s, denim was not soft. It was cardboard. Mm-hmm. And I did not wear any of that until I was in my 20s. I used to remember thinking like, oh my gosh, will I ever be able to wear these clothes? And what the hell is wrong with me? And my mom did not have this sensitivity, so she would fight with me. Not fight with me, but, well, yeah, she would probably fight with me. But she also didn't understand it because in the 70s, nobody really was talking about that. So I passed that gift on to my daughter for sure.
Nobody was talking at all back then about anything.
No, not much. Although, to my mom's credit, she had me on the Feingold diet back in the day.
Yeah.
And as a highly sensitive kid, I reacted to additives and preservatives in foods, and it made me aggressive and all kinds of things. And she had me on that diet for like 2 years when I was like 6 and 7. I would go to birthday parties and be like, I can't have that cupcake. It has additives and preservatives. And she used to make jokes because I would just regurgitate like that line. She made all my Easter candy back in the day, my Halloween candy. She would like get the molds. This is like good things of my mom. We had a terrible relationship, but there's some good things. She would make the Easter candy and the Halloween candy because I could go get it, but then I wouldn't be able to eat it. So she would just like trade it out for the stuff that I could eat that would not make me.
Oh, that's so much love.
There was a lot of love.
Yeah.
I was sick. I didn't have any siblings at that point either. So she had a lot of time in her hands, probably more than, she did once. Then my siblings came along when I was like 6.5, 7, like right at that time. And then all of that stuff. And I just ate. Then we moved to TV dinners.
And the molds went away.
But I have fond memories and those habits did stick with me. So it's important. So highly sensitive kids sometimes are not just emotionally sensitive, but they can also be sensitive to things that they eat or cleaning products. There's so many different things that can just make behavior crazy.
True. As I've gotten older, I mean, I've always had a pretty good smeller, but I've become so sensitive that I can be on the other side of our house and someone will open a bottle of some dressing or something that has a good fragrance to it. And I can smell it all the way across. I can tell when they just open the lid. But the thing that's been getting me is it's been making me not only react emotionally, that I'll have some ups and downs, but I will start to gag or cough because it's so strong. Just inundating my senses.
But your senses and your sentences.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's like when you walk through a mall and they like are spraying perfume or just not even spraying it, it's just in that and you get overwhelmed. That's like you're being overwhelmed in your home by salad dressing.
Yep. All the time.
That sounds like a B horror flick as well.
I sneeze even from eating arugula sometimes.
Oh. The herb. Well, I could see that. Like peppermint makes Maya Luna and Nick sneeze. Yeah. Or I don't know if it's Nick, but it's Maya Luna and Nick's family. Yeah. The craziest things that we can be sensitive. And we're all different.
I was just going to say that it shows you how individual we each are.
Yeah. And listening to our kids, like I grew up in a family with 2 sisters. So it was sort of that there were enough kids that it was like everybody just ate. You just ate what was given, right? Like there was no,
Yeah.
but if I had a lot of like sensory sensitivities to things like the gristle on the ends of meat, and I have a really strong gag reflex.
Do.
And so being forced to like eat all of your meat when I would just, that was like in the mouth, in the napkin, or I would like swallow things whole. I spent so much time trying to figure out how to get out of my sensory sensitivities or get, because they weren't understood. Nobody understood. And people would think like, I just say, trust our kids. Because sometimes if they're refusing a food, wait, I know Nevin had the big time sensory sensitivities with food.
Oh, yes. The texture, the wetness or dryness of it, he still won't eat fruit to this day because
it's wet, but he'll drink something and that's wet, that's what's crazy. So it's like, it must be this like biting into something that has texture and is also wet that throws him off.
Yeah.
But how many parents like fight against that? I don't know if anybody watching has kids with sensory sensitivities and they've either found themselves fighting against it or found themselves going, okay, I'm going to figure out a way to accommodate this. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments. But what did you do with that, Nevmo, when that happened?
I really never thought that this kid would eat food in general. I had such a hard time. When he was really little, he would do all of the vegetables and avocados and everything. But it really became very, very challenging where there was only a few things that he would put in his mouth or touch. And the other thing that he had to have was like softer food that he could pick apart with his little tiny fingers and make little tiny breadcrumbs that he would eat. Tiny. And it was something that he had to do, break it up really small, and then eat them one at a time.
The rituals of youth.
Yes, adorable, right? Adorable.
Maddening when they're happening, probably, right? Because they're like, just eat the food. Why are you playing with your food? Like, not that we necessarily said that, but I know that I probably said that at some point in time when, our kids have these very specific needs around food, and food is new too for kids. Like we've been doing it for 40, 50 years, but for them, textures and flavors and tastes, spice, I love the spicier, the better. Okay. Her and her dad, get it. They're like, I should make fun of them, but I do. And they make fun of me too for plenty of other things. So they can't handle like anything, a little bit of spice. And they're like, oh my God, it's so hot. And I'm like, are you kidding, guys? Come on. All of these, it's just so different.
Okay, wait, I got a story. Nevin is 2 years old. We go to a Thai restaurant and we order something that he's going to dip in. There's all kinds of sauces. One of them is that red hot Thai sauce. He thinks it's ketchup.
Oh.
And the kid just, before I could catch him, I said, no, as it goes in his mouth, a whole bunch of it. It's on him. And he just starts wailing and the tears start streaming. I get him into the bathroom. I'm trying to clean out his mouth. Hot sauce. Oh, and he's breathing heavy and the tears.
I know, like sweating probably.
Right? I get him back to the table, calm him down. And he looks around. He's like, can I have more?
Oh. That was a sensory experience I think I'd like to have again.
That's right. And he totally digs spicy now that he's
he is my son. Totally.
So, yeah, right.
That's so funny. It's true. Yeah, no, my Luna is like, although she likes it a little bit more now, but still not anywhere. No. not happening. But there are things that like she loves sushi, and I'm like, and I don't like the flavor of seaweed. I just can't do it for some reason. It's very popular. I think it's great. I've tried it many times. I can't do it. And I don't like raw fish, period. So even a California roll, I can't even do like fake sushi because I can't do the seaweed. My kid could eat it forever. Now, of course, that really has nothing to do with maybe food sensitive or sensory sensitivities, but just we're all just so different. This is my lesson this week is I'm just trying to let go of all of my expectations. Because I have a lot. And of my, of like my kid, myself, what she should be doing, what she should like, just there's so many shoulds. The other day, so I wanted her to eat breakfast. It was late. She was doing her schoolwork, but she hadn't come down. So I knew that her brain was going to start running out of fuel. But I didn't want to just like tell her what to do. Like, you need to eat or come down and eat because she's about to be 15 next week, right? And she doesn't really want me telling her all the time everything that she needs to do. I'm realizing how many things that just out of habit I tell or help with.
Right.
That she doesn't need me anymore at all. Like there's so much about 15 that I'm learning about this journey into 15. And so I stopped this week and I paused because I knew that I could send a message that would just like, I started the text because I was, I think, working or something. And I was going to just say, come down and eat. I was like, well, that won't get me a very good response. It'll be like, okay, fine. Or she'll just ignore it because she'll get the message, but she won't feel any connection to thank me for the food. Like it's just like a directive. Now, I don't always sit around and do this, but I happen to be like, thinking about how I would respond if someone just said that, like, come down and eat, there's food or something. And then I like texted, I can't even remember. Did I write it? I was writing it down because I was trying to remember the story. And I'm glad I sort of remembered it. But I was trying to say it in a way that would let her know that there was like food available, but I wasn't trying to like tell her to go eat breakfast or make her do something. I wanted her to just have information. And I think if we give our kids quality feedback, and I'm trying to think, what did I end up? No, that's not it. That's not the note I was looking for. Darn it. I'm trying to remember what I actually said because people are going to be like, well, what did you actually say? Like, I don't remember. Wait, I remember.
I'm finding that I'm using food with Nevin to have conversations, and he's totally getting annoying with me.
Wait, he's getting annoyed. Why?
Because I'm using food as a way to start a conversation because I don't get to talk to him very often anymore. And so I'm like, oh, look, there's this. Oh, look, hell, there's this. He's like, yeah, thanks.
Just to get his attention, you're initiating food-based conversation. Hey, I want to check out my cupcake or my fruit salad.
Hey, by the way, there's cinnamon rolls like that. And he's like, oh, I'll come down. I'm like, oh, and you could take this plate and you could put this on the cinnamon roll. He's like, stop it. So what I've started doing, because I do want him to eat too, because I'm finding that he's just like snack. He comes out of his room, grabs the quickest thing.
Yes. They don't want to think about there's a lot of prep and action if they're in the middle of stuff, school day. Like there's no time to put all that executive function together. I don't even want to do it.
I know. Well, I've come to the point now, and I do have some more time during the day. I've started just like making food and plopping it in front of him. And he is every single time, like it's licked clean, the plate, no matter what I bring him.
Oh yeah. If Maya Luna, if I could make her meals all the time, just deliver her food, she would be so happy. I actually asked her once, how do you know that we have these questions that we ask our kids. I sent one before. It was like, I forget, or what is it like being in our relationship or something? But one that I asked her before was, how do you know that I love you? And she wrote, you make me food. It's like, really? That's it? you food. That means she has a cake pop moment. Oh, you're back. You make me food. I was like, really, kid? Like, that's it? So she does. Oh, I remember what it was that I said to her. I let it be known that there was food downstairs if she was hungry. And so I didn't put any like, you should eat. You're going to, your brain's going to stop working and get tired. You're going to be cranky or hurry up. There's nothing around it. It was just a simple offering of, I left some food in the kitchen for you if you're hungry. And I got to thank you. And then she went down and got it. And it was just like, I could have just said it so many different ways and like it was just a moment where I chose to have a connection with her because I knew it could build a moment. I mean, for me, it felt like connection. Maybe for her, it didn't feel like anything. But it wasn't like a point of resistance where I find that sometimes the things that I say get a lot of pushback. Do you guys with teenagers get a lot of pushback?
Oh, and it lasts so much longer for us.
I know. They're fine.
They're totally fine. And you're like, for a long time.
Like, you need it in my head. I'm like, you needed everything from me for so many years. And now I'm just cut off. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's wonderful though. Like the independence and Mylon was really self-motivated. She sometimes needs she needs direction, or directions, like how to get started on something. But once she knows what she's working on, she just will plow through it. She's very motivated that way. And that's kind of really cool to see because, she's not 5 and not wanting to get dressed because everything itches. Although we bought soft clothes for the most part. We knew how to get around that.
Well, look at Marlene has written that she remembers that she was last at the table to finish the mushrooms.
The mushrooms. That reminds me of the lima beans too. Oh, I love them now, actually.
Meatloaf, because it had onions. It was onions for me.
And meat. You're a vegetarian.
I know. Now exactly. When I told my parents I was turning vegetarian in my early 20s, they both were like, oh yeah, we were waiting for you to tell us when. Like they knew.
They knew. Oh, but the onions and you don't like the texture of onions, right? Like the crunch. My grandmother, I love her. She's passed away, but that was her thing. And she would tell the waitresses, you better make sure that she was very strong in her Italian opinion. You better make sure there's no onions on that salad, honey. Terrible. She was so rude to the waitresses, but she really did not want her onions.
Oh, it makes me cry. It's like it totally ruins everything. It's like an emotional thing for me. The onion.
Crazy. Isn't that crazy? That would be like the gristle on the meat for me.
Yeah.
I don't like that. All right. So how does intuition play into your everyday life? Because I feel like following our intuition, knowing what we like, being able to stand up for ourselves and say, I don't like something, and then having people pay attention to that or recognize that. I think that comes from having a really strong sense of knowing ourselves and knowing our intuition and building that in our kids. And
yourself, and then lending that to your children. It's like the most amazing grounding concrete thing.
Yeah,
it is to be able to have that inner dialogue with yourself in a way that I would have with you. And treat you the same, treat myself the same as I would treat you. And it makes such a difference to be friends with yourself or not.
How many people in that dialogue in your head is not nice? That, your internal dialogue. Some people don't have that, but some people do. Some people don't have the running dialogue in their heads, which I've learned, which is so interesting to me. But the people that do, or when you do, what does that sound like? How are we talking to ourselves?
Sometimes I mean.
Really?
Yeah.
That's and then it's such a, how can we can't really move to a place of doing something about whatever we're upset about or whatever, if we're in that self-defeating place. I remember one time my dad walking around the house calling himself stupid because he misplaced something and he couldn't find it. And he was muttering to himself, just walking back. And he was like 70 at the time, and walking back and forth being like, stupid, stupid, stupid. Can't believe you did that. And it's like he was talking to himself and as if he was, in the third person. It was like, Dad, not where did that come from? That loop of, who told you that, I mean, not that everything has to stem back to something in early childhood, but I know that's something in his head that just making a mistake made him feel inadequate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Aww.
Not knowing, not trusting. Okay, but I have a story about intuition that I helped with, that I did with Maya Luna.
Okay.
That made her kind of go, oh. She really liked it. So we went on a hike and she had been collecting rocks and she lost one of the rocks. Or was this her ring? Oh, this might have been her ring. Well, we've had a couple of lost intuition stories, but this is actually a ring. So she lost a ring and she couldn't figure out what happened to it. We were in the house. This is a different story. We were in the house and she tossed the laundry basket down and then she got her sneakers and we were going out for the walk. And she went, oh my gosh, I lost my ring. And couldn't fit, and then was looking on the walk, on the path, like where was it? And she's like, the last I had it, I was upstairs. I'm like, okay, did it maybe come off when you tossed it, with the laundry basket? Oh, I say that because we throw our laundry basket down the steps because it's so heavy and our stairs are so steep that we just let it slide down the bottom. We pick it up at the end. And I said, just close your eyes and take a deep breath. And your gut reaction, is it on the sidewalk outside or in the laundry basket? And her immediate answer was in the laundry basket. And I'm like, all right, I'll go back and check. Because she had already looked and she couldn't find it in there. So that's why she was outside. But I went back in and I actually went through the whole laundry basket and didn't find it and turned around where I had dumped the laundry basket and it was just sitting there, perfectly shining, standing up. And I was like, oh, she was right. I loved it. And I ran outside and showed it to her. And she was so, like, it just gave her such a sense of calm and like giddiness because she was like, oh, I just went with my gut instinct. And there's so many times that her gut instinct has told her things that we've had these experiences. And every time it's validated for her, she gets a stronger sense of self. It's just really cool to see.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. Nevin uses that a lot emotionally with his friends, but he's not trusting himself enough to immediately respond. And so he'll come and ask us, okay, what do you think of this? What's your opinion? So-and-so said this, and then this person said this. And it's not like usually a big fireworks fight that they're having. It's just something little that they're discussing, but he always checks in with us. But I usually spin it before I give my answer of my opinion and try to get him to say what he's feeling, what his gut tells him about the situation. And
yes,
it works good for him.
Yeah, it gives him like, I know that they're sometimes afraid to self-advocate for their opinions and their ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Not every kid, but highly sensitive kids or kids that, are quieter or more intuitive or deep thinkers. Like there's so many different personality types and, types of people that are more hesitant, like have this intuitive knowledge, but sometimes they don't know how they have it. Like my Luna just sometimes knows things, like even on tests.
Yeah.
She will just use her intuition and then surprise herself because she's like, I'm not really sure how I knew that answer. But I'm like, sometimes that's what you need to know. And there's actually in the book, I think it's Brainstorm by Dan Siegel. If you guys have teenagers, that book. I think that's the book where he actually advocates for that because we teach kids, we sort of like teach them not to trust their intuition. And when they're going through the teenage years and their brain is doing all of that reconstruction and new development, it makes them really susceptible to risky behavior and all of these things because their assessment of risk is different. They're focused on different areas because their brain, but if they learn to trust their intuition, then that risk assessment can be guided by something other than their faulty, immature cognitive processes.
Yeah.
So it's just such a huge thing. Like, I don't think intuition and sensitivity and we all have it. Some of us are naturally just more tuned in and it's there, but we don't know what it is, or it's thought to be weak, or, I got told a lot that I was, overthinking or too sensitive. Like, there were so many things where my deep intuitive knowing or questioning even was, in the name of discipline, shut down. Sort of,
Yeah.
Just,
well, I've been married 21 years, and Dave often has said to me, since I've had Nevin, and he said to me how much I've changed, that he used to get away with being an asshole. He could say anything to me and I would just blow it off or continue on or laugh it off and just, keep going. And he always comments about how much I've changed. You used to be, now you're so sensitive and you used to blow things off. And honestly, it's really cool to hear that. I'm like feeling very proud of myself that I've come into my grounding and my, into my own body to say, nothing's going to happen if I give my opinion.
yes.
If I say what I'm feeling, no one's going to stop loving me or leave me.
It's so true. Wow. And I love that he's noticing it and is like, hey, by the way.
He's sad about it. He's like, gee, I used to get away with a lot of stuff. Now you're so sensitive.
Our husband is very sweet, where we're not trying to make him sound like he's also very sensitive and introverted in his own right. So we know, and you know what, it's so interesting because you finally felt empowered to share to even maybe feel your feelings, because all of the it might not be that you could have just had this barrier up that made you, what made you not, I shouldn't speak for you, I should ask you, what made you not sensitive? Like, did you just ignore it? Was it a wall that you had built that you just, because women, we're a bitch if we stand up or say something? So was it that you didn't hear it, or that you just let it roll off your back and now you're like, what do you think the difference is? Or were you just blocked out to it?
Yeah, I was worried that there would be consequences for my thoughts.
Wow.
And if I thought differently, because I grew up with my brother suffering from cancer and finally passing after 6 years. And I was very little. And so I just was like always telling the jokes and doing the tap dancing and sort of holding the energy of our home together in a light, fun way. Yeah. And so I just became the front. I put up the good show all the time. And I think that's what it stems from. And then just being an insecure woman.
Right.
Yeah. Growing up in the 80s, 70s and 80s.
It's crazy. I know now, looking back at some of the things that that were said to me or done to me when I was in my 20s. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like it almost, I cringe sometimes thinking about it, because I would never let some of those things happen now, or I would at least say something, even if I didn't have, full control over a situation. But it's taken me that long to really feel confident in myself as well, and trust my intuition about things or people that I shouldn't either get involved with, in personal or business, and all of these things, trusting all of that. It's so important. And the way that we raise our kids is really setting them up for how important they believe what they think and have to say is, and trusting, and their intuition and trusting it. Like, if they're told no, you're wrong. That's not the way it is. Stop being so, obstinate. Stop being so sensitive. Stop overreacting. All of these things. Then they grow up and they think, oh, these feelings I'm having, that's not true. Or I shouldn't speak that. That's not important. No, that doesn't. Oh, the mind.
I know.
I won't curse on the podcast, but yeah. I do curse in real life, and I try to be respectful when we're on the teach page because
Right.
sometimes in my groups, though, it gets a little fancy free with the language because that's just who I am. I just, let's be real. But
I'm so happy to have people with us here. Rachel's here.
And hi, guys.
That's probably not your name, HUD. And Marlene is with us.
Yes, I'm so happy to have people watching today. Let me put up. I am going to use. I got my
Oh, very good.
Text straightened out, so we are going to use that. So if you guys want to get in the community and text me if you're watching, because you know me from Teach Through Love. Well, it's on the Teach Through Love page, but this is we've been doing this little fun thing for self-care, connection, just getting together. But if you want more tips, inspiration, text me, join my text community. The number's up on the screen. And then you'll learn more about what we do here and all kinds of things. And you can text us. You can share directly and we can text you back. Because not everybody's on Facebook. So you can watch, some people are watching on YouTube. We've got people on YouTube or on Facebook. But let us know what you want us to talk about too. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. Rachel's asking about, I think she's referring to us teaching our children about using their intuition. What age do you start teaching them and how can they grasp it?
I think that the way that it's not even something that we necessarily have to teach. It's just something that we start out modeling. And it starts by how we respond to their expressions of feelings or needs or whatever they might be. Do we discount it? Do we dismiss it because we're trying to get the behavior to change? So whenever we're trying to support the development of their intuition or just their belief in themselves, it's by how we respond to them. It's by the messages that they receive. Are we saying, no, you're wrong, you're bad, you're not listening, you're making me angry? Even if we're not saying that exact words, is that the message that they're getting? Or are they getting the message of, you're having a hard time, this isn't what you wanted, you really feel strongly and I'm not letting you, and that feels unfair. When especially little kids, when they're having trouble, those are the words I'm saying. I'm not saying no, stop, don't. I'm like, you don't like this, you wish it could change, you want me to stop, I'm going to help you. You're having a hard time with your body, I'm going to move us away, I'm going to help you move so that we can all be safe. That. So that's the way we can set limits, but still not dismiss that I don't want to, I don't want to participate in this activity, or I don't like standing next to this person. Sometimes kids are expressing things because they're uncomfortable. Well, not sometimes, but always there's something going on. So it's really about how we're responding in every moment that lets their intuition develop naturally. And then those little exercises with my kid, because she's older, just close your eyes, drop into your body. And what's the first reaction that you get? That just helps her. I mean, she has to be at peace with her decisions too, right? So that's what we do, stuff like that. And then any kind of mindfulness, going on a nature walk and just listening to the sounds, things like that, right? You could do it with music, listening to music. And I remember Nevin could pick out particular instruments or guitarists or something, but picking out those kinds of how many instruments do you hear? Just stuff like that to help our mind to focus. That will all help us feel settled in our body. Those are my ideas. What do you think, Tracy?
Yes. I love them. Something Nevin used to do too is he would always know when grandma was about to call or was thinking about him.
Love it.
And every time, it was adorable. They were so connected that way. And so that was something that I always just was giving love to every time, that acknowledging it, every time that he guessed Or I was just thinking about her and that she would call or we would get a letter in the mail or something. And that really, it was a little tiny thing, but it just, he was like, wow, I know that. Look at that. And
Yes.
kind of helped him build from there about a lot of them. Was it emotionally? I think it gave him some steps to getting to that, getting to the top of the ladder for him to be able to have a perspective for himself and the people around him. So it's lovely. It's given him.
And what about that story that you did with the thread? Did you tell that story before? Because I feel like that gave him a real ground, like that you guys were connected with the invisible
Oh, that
thread.
was a book. Yes, there was a
That was
book
from a
called
book.
Invisible String, but I took it a little bit further. Uh, and the book is about two twins that I think are about 8 or 9, and there is a lightning storm and a thunderstorm, and they are freaking out being in the bedroom away from their mother. And they come out, and the mother tells them about the invisible string, that they're always connected no matter where she is. She could be at work. She could be anywhere. If you think about that person, that string is activated, and you have that string that always is extended, no matter how many millions of miles or feet, wherever it is, but you're always connected through your heart and emotionally. And boy, that gave him a lot of presence, especially when I was away for a while when he was so little, being at the hospital stays. I was gone for 2 and 3 weeks at a time. 3 times that happened, actually 4 times with surgeries and such. And I think that helped get him through, knowing we had that invisible string.
Yeah, it does. It really gives them a sense of connection that then they can, again, it just builds trust. I think anytime that we're building that bond of trust, then our kids are more likely to trust themselves and then stand up for themselves or other people or whatever needs to, or trust themselves to make a decision that maybe is against what their peers are saying. But they have a knowing that something is wrong because they know, they're so connected to us and we're so trusting that they think of what we might like. She's told me these things, the stories of like thinking about what I would say when other people were asking her to do something different. Now that's not always going to happen, right? Because she was a little bit, she was like 13 or 14, so she's still young enough to want to be connected, to really listen and not take a chance. So, but as she gets older, that may change. But just the fact that that is a presence for her. For me, it had an impact because she had to stand up for herself and she trusted me more than what her friends were telling her. But what happens when we dismiss or discount what our kids are telling us or their feelings or just through regular, trying to discipline, then they end up getting the wrong message and don't trust themselves. And then they end up going, oh, well, my friends are saying this, I'm going to go with them, because it just, it works out in the long run in so many other situations for us.
Yeah. Oh, our little sensitive muffins. Oh.
They're big, loud, very autonomous, willful humans at the same time, though, aren't they?
Yes. With big feet. Oh my gosh. It's like there's an earthquake every time the kid walks around in our house.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's unbelievable.
Stop. Yes, we do. She's still just a smidge shorter than me. So I'm taller than you. So she had further to go than your kid. But I saw Nevin. I was like, is he the same height as Dave? Because when did that happen?
No, the other day he was laying on the couch and didn't have shoes on, but I kind of turned the corner and all I could see were feet on the couch. And I thought it was Dave, my husband, because his feet are like this big.
Yeah, it's true. They're going to not recognize them.
Yes.
Well, like passing and you'll be like, oh, wait. Oh, no, that's not you.
Oh, I know. He's such a lover, though. That's the greatest part. I get a lot of hugs, a lot of, well, sometimes he'll kiss me if I ask him, but I go in and kiss him a lot. But, and it's very, it just, I feel very proud to have raised this empathetic, sweet citizen of the world boy who is really headed towards love and empathy for everybody and being a part of society, you know, being a citizen.
It's beautiful. It really is. And it's not all, we're not trying to say that it's all like love and lollipops and dandelions over here, because we got some stories, but it's so worth it. It's so worth the connection that we have, just that, and building that. And no matter where you are with your kid, because even if you're like coming off of maybe a really tense time, and I think there've been definitely times in our relationship where things were like not rocky, but like we're just learning new ways. And I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, my kid and I are disconnected and now, you know, everything's, no, we can always like reconnect. They always want to. They might not show it. They may push us away. But those kids that if you feel disconnected from your kid, know that you can really repair that stuff. And they want that. I mean, even as an adult, I wanted repair with my mom.
Yes.
Like that never goes away, even if I would not necessarily show it. Like I might not be able to express that because I was still in that, like that maybe vulnerable state where I didn't trust what was being said. But if she had kept saying it, like just keep saying it, just keep reaching out to your kids. I don't know. We had someone that had a highly sensitive kid that shuts down a lot.
Yes, I know, huh? And then you know, I would say Nevin did that often too. He would get overwhelmed with the sensitivity to the emotions that he would just lose it. And I found, I mean, I'm a pretty jokey kind of a goofy person. For us, humor really worked, and I was able to distract him to move forward so that we could talk about it later and figure it out together when he wasn't so emotionally charged at those moments.
I don't even see it as distraction, but as like just lightening the mood, like just trying to lighten up the mood to, you know, like this isn't so serious. We can take a break. We can come back to this. Like let's not, you know, stress in the moment. Play, humor. It's super important too, especially when our kid. I know I use that, like my little start to get frustrated, and maybe I'm being like overly momish or something. And then I'll do that too. I'll sort of like just distract, you know, just not distract, but just change the energy of the moment with humor.
Yes.
It helps, especially a sensitive kid that doesn't want to be, you know, transitions, you know, can be challenging. They don't want to move too fast, or maybe they want to make their own decisions, or maybe they want to finish exactly what they're doing before they move on to whatever we're doing. So humor can definitely help de-escalate a situation that might feel charged to our kids, even though it's not necessarily, you know, meant to be that way. And teenagers, they misinterpret the emotional context of things. Like the science is there for us. So if you have teenagers that are like overreacting or underreacting, not thinking something is as serious or doing that, it's not. It's just their brains. They
only hear like a half a word in the entire sentence because they have all that stuff going. It's like all they hear is the like that's like
the word,
syllable of the word that you said to them, and they're
there's a lot going on in there. So we have to be gentle with our kids, ourselves.
Yes,
our kids. Trust our intuition a little more. I'm doing that. I'm just trying to like A little self hug. That's actually one of Dr. Peter Levine. He does the somatic healing. I think you put your your left hand under here, and you give yourself a little hug. It's one of those somatic
Oh,
exercises
that's
to
nice. Yeah.
release stress. So if everybody want to do this as we we'll wrap it up with a little somatic stress release. And it's just give yourself a squeeze, and then release it. Sometimes you need to bring a little safety. If your kids are yelling at you and you want to scream, do this first.
Hug. And they'll be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you
Like,
say, hey, try that. And then you end up hugging and kissing each other.
that's what I did when she was little. Oh my goodness. To get her out of a cranky mood, I'd be like, oh, you must want the kid, the love monster or something. And I would come in and and hug her. Of course, now it's like, I mean, sometimes I would respect. Sorry, because I think about like my mind goes a million different ways. And like consent, you always want to have consent with people, right? We don't want to. We don't have kids to hug.
Yeah.
If it like she would push me away seriously and get more agitated, I would know that was not appropriate. But when she would actually, she would resist, like, no, I don't want you, and I would just like go in more, and then finally she would like relax. So with our younger, I don't know if she would do that now at 15. She'd be like, Mom, get off of me. But when she was smaller, I definitely diffused a lot of such highly sensitive situations with a little bit of love bombing for sure.
Love bomb. There you go.
Love bomb. It was.
Yay.
I'm hugging you, my friend.
I'm hugging you too. Hugging my owl out.
And I'm hugging all of our friends that watched and joined us today, and everybody that's watching the recording. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks for joining us, Tan and Marion and Hud and Rachel.
Let me go on and look at everybody because I can't see without my glasses.
You can't read.
I can see you guys, but then I don't want to always wear them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't. I just don't. But Marlene and Rachel and Hud and Miriam and Tan, thank you guys for joining us. And we have a Facebook user that I can't see their name, but oops, I didn't mean to do that either. But thank you guys for watching. It was so nice to hang out for you. I have to jump on. We're going to do a Q&A call next.
Woohoo!
Answer some questions, do some more Q&A. What are you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I got some stuff going on with the kid, actually. We're going to be doing some cooking, making matzo ball soup later.
Ooh, fun.
Speaking of, yes.
I love you, friend.
I love you too, my darling. Have a beautiful week, and we'll see you and everyone else next week.
Yes, I will see you, and I will see you out there. We will see you all next week. We did it at 3 today. We'll probably go back to our regular time, maybe. We'll figure it out, but Wednesday afternoons.
Wednesday's a good one for us.
Or Wednesday morning. Well, it was 12 o'clock for you, so we'll be back there. You guys can catch us. You'll find all the info on the Facebook page or the YouTube page, so we'll see you then.
Okay.
Love.